I had a package arrive at my house a little while back, and it's taken me some time to actually get around to putting a video together about it because this is not exactly something that's in my wheelhouse. As you can see here in front of me, I have a Tacklife Power Tools Pro heat gun. I know there are a lot of great uses for a heat gun. I've just never had a reason to own one myself, but again, this company reached out, it's been a couple of months ago now, and said, do you want to try it out? And I said, sure. And I've been trying to make a video about this for a little while with my dad, because my dad has actually had lots of uses for it, but stuff happens. It just hasn't come together yet. But this past weekend, I did actually have a great opportunity to use this. My parents came to town this weekend, and my mom brought her phone with her. This is the LG G4, and it was basically dead. If you've heard anything about the G4, I gave it an amazing review whenever I reviewed it a few years back, because that was pre-boot loop issues. A little while after I did my review, people started having issues with it boot looping. I still never had any problems with this device, and for several years, my mom never had issues with it until about a week ago. And then it started boot looping, which means that it's basically there's something inside of it that has gone wrong. So what I ended up doing was completely dismantling this phone down to the main circuit board of the phone, because there's apparently this one solder point under the main chip that tears up. And all the guides that I found online for a temporary workaround, a fix, a way to get it back up and running so that she could get her data off of it, told me to take a hairdryer, point it at this one chip on the motherboard, hold it there for 5 to 10 minutes, and then give it a little squeeze, put everything back together, and it would work fine. Well, as you can see, I have a hairdryer here. I tried that for, I think it was 7 minutes that I ended up doing it, maybe closer to 10 minutes, before the power strip that I had this plugged into actually ended up dying, which is kind of sad because I've had that power strip for a long time. The hairdryer is still fine. Put everything back together, didn't work. Tried it a second time with the hairdryer. Still didn't work. And then I thought about it, and I still had this heat gun in the box. Long story short, I tried the heat gun. Now, this heat gun, as you can see from the back of the box, it has 3 different temperatures and 3 different airflow settings, all with one switch that's controlling it all. So on setting 1, you're at 50 degrees Celsius, 250 liters per minute, 450 degrees Celsius with 250, and 550 Celsius at 500 for settings 2 and 3. I tried 50 at 250 for a few minutes, and it just didn't feel terribly hot. I could put my hand in front of the gun, and it just wasn't really all that warm. It's slightly warmer than body temperature. It's about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So I tried setting 2. Setting 2, 450 degrees Celsius, that equates to about 800 degrees Fahrenheit. That felt pretty hot in front of my hand. It didn't actually feel like 800. But anyway, let's get to the heat gun. And I thought what I might do is just pull out my little laser gun here. I've got this laser thermometer, as it were. It's not incredibly accurate. It's like $10 on Amazon. But if I point it at my hand, you can see it says 95 degrees. I should obviously be closer to 98, but it's just a couple of degrees off, as you can tell. But I figured what I would do is go ahead and plug this in, show you the accessories and attachments and everything it comes with, because you can pick this up on Amazon for $35, and we'll just see how hot the air coming out of it actually is, or at least some sort of approximation. So inside of the box, of course you get the heat gun itself. I've used a lot of power tools in my time, and this does feel a little bit lightweight. It is solid plastic, but it feels kind of lightweight plastic. It has a 5.9 foot, almost 6 foot cord, just shy of 2 meters. It's very thick. It feels like it'll stand up pretty well. Of course, you get a user manual and warranty card, then a bag full of attachments. And actually inside of the manual here, there are some of the accessories that I have down here, which is good because I had no idea what a couple of these things did. So this first one here, it actually says it's a glass protection nozzle. Protects your windows when you're stripping the window frames. So it's going to fit onto the end of the heat gun, and then it's got a little opening at the end to let all the heat come out. You've got a spoon reflector nozzle. Again, this will fit on the end of the gun, and it sort of deflects the air up in this direction. It says it's useful for soldering pipes, but I've also heard that you can use it to heat shrink tubing. You've got the cone nozzle, again for welding and shrink sleeving, heat concentrated over a small area, which is basically going to take this wide bit of heat and concentrate it down. And this last one is not actually listed in the book, but from what I've read on Amazon and everything, it's for helping to light a barbecue. Not sure how that's going to work, although if I remember correctly, paper will burn at 451 degrees Fahrenheit, so if this thing does get as hot as it says it does, it shouldn't have any problem lighting paper. I guess let's plug it in and we'll do a couple of quick tests without burning anything, hopefully. Maybe some minor burning. And coming back to the gun itself, we have this switch here on the back. You can see it does say 0, and when you flip it up, it's going to say 1, 2, and 3, and it sounds kind of like a hairdryer when you turn it on. So I now have it on setting 1. That should be 122 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll just see how warm this is coming out. It may not be able to measure the air coming out of it, but I'm gonna try. Well, it's been a little inconsistent so far just trying this out, but so far it's up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and I just tried it again. It says 45 degrees Celsius. It's supposed to get up to 50. The mode 1 is actually supposed to be the cooling down, so it's not really supposed to be as hot as it can be. It's kind of like a fan in that instance. Let's try the second one, and I'll be really careful with this one. Well, so far I'm up to 224, and I don't really feel like going much higher than that without burning myself. I don't want to do anything too silly here. I don't actually think it's getting anywhere near 450 Celsius, but still, it's hot. And when you turn it on the highest one, it gets a lot louder because it's pushing out air about twice as fast. Again, I don't want to burn myself, but it very quickly and easily got to 250 Celsius there. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's smoking at this point. So presumably there's stuff in there that's kind of heating up, and I don't really want to get close enough to it to thoroughly measure it. But suffice to say, it is getting very hot. So I don't know, it probably would have been better for me to do this video with my dad, to be a little bit more thorough about it, to actually show some of the practical applications. But in my case, putting it on setting 2, the medium setting, I was able to thoroughly heat up the circuit board inside of this phone with it outside of the phone, give it a nice squish down when I was putting all the heat sinks back on it, put it back together, and actually, yeah, the phone is still up and working and everything. I've actually rebooted it and it's still working for the time being, but if it gets hot again, it probably will break. So it is cool to know that a tool like this, 35 bucks or something, it does have an awful lot of applications. You can strip paint with it, you can solder supposedly with it. I'm a little leery as to the actual temperatures that are coming out of it. It says it will go up to 550. I would say I would lean more on the edge of 300 Celsius, maybe more than that, because again, I saw 250 coming out of this, and we do have to give it a little bit of leeway because of the laser. Later update, I've been trying to actually see what the top end of the heat gun will do. As you can see from some of the footage here, the highest I ever actually saw the temperature go was about 550 degrees Fahrenheit, but then I noticed that my little laser thermometer there had started to melt. So while I don't really believe that it's getting up to 1,000 degrees when you put it on temperature 3, it is definitely getting very hot, but it's kind of unpredictably hot. So I would like to find a better way to test the temperature coming out of it, but I think just for an initial test, that's about as far as I can go because my gun is kind of ruined. But I think that's where I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm not qualified to thoroughly go on and on about this, other than to say it gets hot and it's super cheap. At 35 bucks for something like this, not bad. So I guess let me know what kind of things you would do with a heat gun. I will probably actually be giving this to my dad just because I feel like I am a danger to myself if I keep it here. But either way, thank you guys as always for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified when new videos come out. And I will see you again next time.